Russ Ewart,
Here.
Tom Barney,
Here.
and Michael Loth. I am here. Item 3, agenda revisions and approval.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Tom Barney, second by Russ Ewart. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Approval of minutes, February 13th, 2023.
I move to approve the minutes from February 13th of 2023.
Second.
Okay, motion by Russ Ewart, second by Tom Barney. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion passes. Item 5, consent review and discuss March vouchers. I know there's a handful of questions. Brittany, please.
Sure, I received a few questions. One of them is regarding $92,252.23 for the Board of Commissioners of Public Land Finance School Construction. That is one of our principal payments for our referendum debt. Along with that was an interest payment as well, which should have been the line below on the voucher report. The next question
Hey, Brittany, there wasn't anything there about referendum? You're saying it should have been there, it just wasn't there?
No, there's another line up below it that would also have stated that we paid interest on it as well. And the only reason you would have known it was referendum is the account code, so you're right, we should put that in there as well.
Okay, thank you.
The next question that I received was regarding an item for a company named Gopher. The description did say "see quote," so the question is basically what was the details of the quote. The total for the expense was $4,884.46. This was for PE equipment or gym equipment, physical education equipment for the high school. And if you go through the quote, it consists of dodgeballs, badminton rackets, there are flags of different colors, rubber footballs, all equipment that need to be replaced for our physical education classes at the high school. One of the other questions we received was regarding $2 amounts. One was for $34, another one was for $32. The vendor was Junior Library Guild book. It was for a book order, but those $2 amounts were for a processing fee for the books titles to actually be put into our Destiny database in our library. So there was no fee connected to the purchase of the books, but the book list was then sent to the Finance Committee. It was for elementary books. So the fees were connected to a processing fee. And those were the only questions that I had sent to me today.
Okay, very good. I will take a motion.
I'll motion to approve the consent to payment of vouchers as presented and reviewed.
Second.
Okay, motion by Russ Ewart, second by Tom Barney. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Item 6A, February variance report. Brittany Altendorf.
In front of you today, you have the February variance report that is from July 1 of 2022 to February 28th of 2023. This goes over our general fund and our special education fund, which are our two largest funds that support the operations of the school district. On the top portion is the expenses for both funds. You can see that we are, as of February 28th, spending less in salaries by approximately $150,000, less in employee benefits by approximately $200,000. We did have a delay in expenses for our self-funded insurance. There was a 3-month delay because they didn't have claims in January and February. You don't receive those claims until March, so there was the delay, but will catch up eventually. So that might be caused by the delay in expenses. One of the areas that we did go down in purchase services, but up in capital purchases, that's due to some of the projects that we've had in the past couple of months. Overall, our Fund 10 or general fund expenditures see a decrease of about $620,000 compared to last year. But if you look at the encumbered amount, we have about $500,000 more encumbered or promised to vendors than we did last year. So we are consistent with spending of the previous year. The special education fund expenses and revenues are similar to the previous year, with our special education expenditures being about $44,000 more than the previous year, and the special education revenue being about $50,000 less than the previous year at this time. And then finally, the revenue for our general fund, you can see that we have less money received for local sources. Local sources, the main source of that is property taxes. And we did plan for that. As you see, the budget is less this year than it was last year. And then also in state sources, you will see an increase compared to last year. And again, that was planned. We received more state aid this year than we did in the previous year. But overall, you see a reduction of about $480,000 less in revenue at this time this year than compared to last year. Questions?
Okay. When I read this, I was just a little bit surprised that there was a decrease in property tax revenue. I thought that the taxes actually went up a little bit. I don't know if I missed something or
The
what
overall
happened?
taxes decreased
Really? Okay.
from the school district, yep. Yes.
There was an increase on my bill, and I think a lot of others.
I believe that the value of the houses might have increased, which might have shown an increase, but the actual mill rate that we are asking from the school district decreased.
The village portion of the taxes increased by 12%.
I know the difference between the village portion and
I
our
know.
portion, and the school portion went up, as did the village portion. What was it, 12 point?
12%.
Wasn't it more than 12? 12.7, 12.8? Okay,
I'd
it's
be
just,
happy to go through with your tax bill with you if you'd like.
no, that'll be okay. But I was surprised at the tax reduction, the tax revenue reduction, because I kind of thought in general, everybody's went up a little bit.
I can send you some more information on that if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, nothing else on this. On this one,
Mike, I got
Oh,
one
yeah.
question. Brittany, you stated that our expenditures in salaries went down.
As of today, they went down. They're projected to be higher than last year, but as of
I just
this
wanted
date-
clarification on that, because I knew our overall salary base did not go down for the year, just at this point in time in the year.
Correct. It could be, yes, it's as of February 28th, so it could be how the paychecks are distributed over the year. It could be how people are choosing to distribute them.
I didn't want anyone misconstruing that statement.
Nope.
We're not paying less.
No.
right, so in the full board meeting, my Cliff's Notes version is good enough. I don't want to just blow over it. This is a good report, but I can't cover it as good as you do, so I'll just give it the Cliff's Notes version like I've been doing it, or just mention it. I mean, the board meeting is long enough. And I don't want to just pass over this because you're doing a lot of hard work, putting this out every month. But if the Cliff's Notes is good enough, so what I'm saying is I probably won't call on you unless I really screw something up and you want to step in and correct me or something in the full board meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks. All right, there's no motion required on that one. Item 7, unfinished business, there's none. Item 8, A, 2023-2024 student fees, and that is Brittany Altendorf.
Sure, this time every year, we bring forward the upcoming year's student fees for recommendation and approval by the board. I've listed on the summary page the adjustments or additions. I can go through each one of them. We have 4 adjustments due to the increase in consumables. Those are the 7th grade science is asking for an increase. The AP English Literature and Composition, senior foods, those are the 4 that are asking for increases due to increases in consumables. Adjusting the technology fee over the past 2 years, this will be the 3rd year that we are adding and then increasing the technology fee, and then there would be 1 more year then in 24-25 to have the fee then be $45. Also, an adjustment would be the registration fee. Currently asking for $65 for kindergarten through 5th grade, $75 for 6th through 8th grade, and then $85 for 9th through 12th grade. That's an increase of $10 for each one of those areas. As far as I can look back, there was not an increase to those in the last 10 years, but I cannot see what was done prior to that. That's as far as my information goes back. And then fees that are recommended to be added. 7th and 8th grades, foods 1, 2, and advanced. Those are 3 different courses. Are requesting a fee of $15 for the food and the consumables. Next one is art for 7th and 8th grade. They're requesting $15 fee to be purchased for consumables such as, there's a longer list, but sketchbooks, pencils, paints, canvas boards, tag boards. And then they are asking a conditioning and strength fee of $10. That's at the high school level. That is for a online program called Team Builder, which would then serve all the students that are in that class. And I believe those are the only adjustments. Questions on any of those?
I do not have any questions. Tom?
Nope.
AP English Literature, it states, due to cost of consumables and the change to replace a novel, where is that decision coming into play as far as the novel change?
I don't have that detail.
We can invest.
I would assume it would be coming from the AP
Yeah,
itself.
most likely, I don't have it for sure, Mr. Mizziak can look into this, but most likely from College Board, the curriculum that's mandatory for an AP course.
Sure, thank you.
We can get you that title as well.
It's less about the title and more, I'm just wondering where that decision, is it from the district or from the AP curriculum, which would make sense. That's all I have.
Tom, nothing?
I'll make a motion to bring forward to the Boards of Education with a positive recommendation to approve the 2023-2024 student fee schedule.
Well, second.
Okay, motion by Tom Barney, second by Russ Ewert. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Item 8B, 2023-2024 facility use fee schedule. Brittany Altendorf, please.
In front of you tonight is the recommendation to adjust the fee schedule starting on July 1st of 2023. On the summary sheet, I explained why the increases were recommended. Your attachments show the current fee schedule, the recommended fee schedule, and then the final page shows what the actual adjustments would be, so you can see the difference between the two. I can actually give you a little more detail. So there is priority groups on the fee schedule, 1 through 5. Priority group number 1 is our students or our locations. Number 2 is the agreement that we have with the Village of Germantown. Group priority number 3 is Germantown youth groups that are feeders into our program, so we build relationships with them to have the younger students feed into our high school programs. Group priority number 4 are non-for-profits. They have to show a 501c3. And then group priority number 5 are the rest of the people that are for-profit. Just to give you a background on what the different groups are. So number 1 on my cover sheet states that I am recommending to increase groups 2 through 5 by a 4% increase over last year. We did just look to see what our surrounding school districts charged. So we did Grafton, Menominee Falls, Slinger, and West Bend, which are our surrounding districts. They are consistent. It was just one of the areas that we looked at. Some of their areas or locations within their buildings are higher than ours, some are lower than ours. So on overall, we were comparison to them. So taking that into consideration, but then also looking at the CPI or Consumer Price Index or the cost of inflation over the last 5 years, there was an average of an increase of about 4%. If you took an average increase of the last 3 years, it would increase that to about 5%. So that was the justification for the recommended increase in those categories. One of the other areas is in group priority number 3. Those again are the youth programs that are feeding into our high school program. Currently, they are 25% of group priority number 4. So the formula in the fee schedule that you see as an Excel document, it is 25% of that group priority number 4. I'm recommending that that be adjusted to a 50% of group priority number 4. In the 2022-23 schedule that you have in front of you, you can see that the amount group priority number 3 pays is well below the group priority number 2, which I found a little odd. So increasing that to 50% is the recommendation. And then finally, in the area of food service and custodial rates, adjusting group priority number 1 and 2 to varies instead of having a set dollar amount or 0. Currently, we do charge, depending on if it was a weekend that a custodial person or food service person would need to come in. For example, under group priority number 1 is our PTAs. So if we would have somebody come in on a weekend, they currently are charged. So just to be consistent with our practice, we put varies in there. We don't have to charge them, but we have charged them in the past. And then group priority number 3 through 5, it is recommended to increase them compared to the staff wages. The rates currently there were well below what somebody would get paid, so we were losing money there. Questions?
I do not have any. Tom or Russ? Other? Amanda?
That's the name. Questions for group priority number 3. When you say feeder programs, is this designed for student or groups that have a significant amount of Germantown residents? How do you gauge that?
So previously, it was stated that they would have to have over 50% of their I wouldn't say population, or their group, be Germantown school students. That was hard to justify. So we removed that. It's more of what relationship they have with our, I want to say our high school coaches. So if they know that the program exists and they work close together, That's what's currently in group priority number 3.
Okay.
So we work with our coaches, and they're like, yes, they are a feeder program to our program.
So if other groups start popping up, right, and they have that connection with their high school coaches, that's how they're going to get that new priority?
Correct.
Tom?
Do we have any groups that may already have rental agreements or reservations in place that this will impact the rate that they're going to have to pay?
For July, I don't believe so.
Okay.
If they do, they're already in the system, so nothing would change. They're in the system at that current rate then.
All right, thank you.
Do we have any numbers that show what the financial impact of this will be to the district?
I do not have that. We could pull, well, because of COVID, we didn't have steady rentals in the past years, but we could pull this year so far, but that's not going to really give you a total.
I think it'd just be a good exercise to see what this increase does and if it meets the costs that we were trying to cover to keep the lights on.
Would it make sense to look at the winter month sports that just, or agreements that just ended and mirror that with the new rates, just to see like a
Well,
season?
we could take a snapshot.
Yeah,
That would be,
snapshot.
we could do a snapshot and take a comparison of something that's already happened, yes.
Ready for a motion?
I'm ready.
Make a motion to bring forward to the Board of Education with a positive recommendation to approve the 2023-2024 facility use fee schedule.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Tom Barney, second by Russ Ewert. Any further discussion?
In situations like this, it might be nice to have that for this type of a discussion, so we can see what the impact would be, if it's the right impact or enough or too much. That would be just helpful information, but if we can see it afterwards, that'd be great too.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Item 8C, 2023 to 2025 School Resource Officer Agreement.
In front of you is a draft agreement for our 2 school resource officers for the 2023-2025. It would start in July of 2023 and end on June 30th, 2025. In previous years, from my notes that I've had in my folder, there was an agreement in 2005 and then addendums made I believe 3 times or 4 times since then. I took all those, the original agreement and the addendums, and I put them into one new agreement. So the only thing that was changed was in section 6, terms of agreement. Again, just changed it from July of 2023 to June of 2025, but everything else in the agreement should be consistent from the other amendments that the board has made in the past. And then it would be my goal to bring the whole agreement every 2 years to the board. Any other questions on the agreement?
Tom?
The copy that was in the board background talks about all invoices shall be due and payable within 30 days. Policy committee is going to bring forward a recommendation tonight to change the policy to be 60 days. Do you want to speak to how that will impact this agreement?
Correct. Prior to, I apologize, I should have talked about that when I was going through it. We would change this agreement to be a 60-day net. The 60-day net just gives us time if we need it. Most of our bills are paid within a 2-week period, so we don't even reach the 30-day threshold, but it would give us ability to extend it to a 60 days. And then our POs, which is our purchase orders, which are sent to vendors, would state that we have a 60-day net payment to them and then by them accepting that as a payment, they are accepting the 60 days. So it would be the recommendation to change that to 60 days prior to the committee or the board approving it tonight, and then it being signed.
Do we need to do that now, or? So it's are we looking at item 6 for that, or?
It is in, yes, the same section, 6, terms of agreement. The last sentence would change to nope, sorry, excuse me, that was the wrong one.
It's under item 7, cost sharing.
And it is,
30 days after receipt.
oh, there we go. It's on the, I don't know which sentence it is, but it says in the middle of number 7, cost sharing, the village shall invoice the district at monthly intervals with a breakdown of wages and benefits and overtime. All invoices shall be due and payable within 60 days after receipt.
Okay. I think do we need to add that to the motion then? Since it's different than what's printed, yes?
I'll make a motion to bring forward to the Board of Education with a positive recommendation to approve the 2023-2025 Student Resource Officer Agreement with the Village of Germantown with the modification of item 7, cost sharing, to show that all invoices shall be due and payable within 60 days after receipt, instead of 30 days as stated in our background.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Tom Barney, second by Russ Ewert. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. And item 8D.1, Amy Bell Boiler number 2 replacement. Looks like we've got Frank Lord up.
Yes. Hello, thank you. Unfortunately, I'm bringing back the second boiler at Amy Bell after bringing number 1 last month. Boiler number 1, that is. Unfortunately, we expected the lifespan to be much longer, but due to the quality of the water or condition of the boiler loop water, that is unfortunately not the case. The exact same, not quite as detrimental. In this case, we were able to leg along with the boiler number 2 without the heating exchanger completely dying on us, but it was short-lived thereafter, right after we got our first boiler in that we had replaced. So,
Is the first one in now?
yes, it is not. We did kind of a turnaround rush on it. They were able to, Butters Fighting was able to locate a boiler that was a single phase versus the 3-phase was the identical match. So we were able to alter our power to fit that boiler and get one that they had in stock from actually another job. But they were okay with us taking it. So we were able to just use that one as the first purchase and get it in. So we just manually programmed it. It's about 3/4 of the way done right now, and that'll be finished up on Friday.
So we'll be on that boiler then?
Yep.
After that?
Yes.
Very
Yep.
good, very good.
With that, I think it just kind of shows how bad the boiler loop water quality is. I just wanted to add that on both of these, or with the approval of this one as well, we will be adding side stream filtration and really taking a digger deep into the quality of the boiler loop water. We do have a maintenance plan as of right now. but due to the fact that we had several leaky valves and areas that were letting current closed loop water out, we were taking on new water constantly, and that creates a very bad boiler loop water, untreatable essentially. So
Is the whole school on a water softener or just parts of it, or?
it is, I would say it's all of the classrooms, 90% of the classrooms, with exception to some of the larger spaces such as the gym, cafeteria, and there might be a few larger open spaces that fit within those areas right now that I'm thinking of. But outside of that, it's almost all on the closed loop.
But no, as far as the water is concerned, we're on our own well.
Yep.
Is there a water softener for the entire facility that this
Oh,
boiler?
the water softener.
Yeah,
Sorry,
would have
yes.
been on.
Yes, there is. Yep. There's one dedicated for the kitchen and one for the general use throughout the building.
And the boiler is on one of those too, I hope?
So it is on the first one on its own loop, but once the loop is closed, now if it's properly set up and maintained, you really should not have any change outs of water until a scheduled maintenance. So that's the plan moving forward.
So this thing you mentioned, it's going to be a better softening process just for the initial refill and,
Yeah, it'll help that getting the water up to par, not leaving as many deposits and corrosives within it. So once we were to get both of these installed, it's kind of a secondary system, which I think in this case is very much so necessary. Obviously, direct well water, well, I shouldn't say obviously, I apologize for that. But well water is typically a little bit more aggressive than obviously your city water that has been treated to the facility. So we almost have to kind of take a couple steps back and remember that we are on our own well and treat it that way. So there won't be any more ongoing cost as far as the maintenance. It's just the initial. We actually had one side stream filter left from the referendum that was here that we were able to install. And in this case, we'll be purchasing another one. And that's a one-time purchase outside of filter changes. So,
okay, yeah, very good. This boiler was the same price as the second one will be the same price as the first?
yep.
Is the second one going to be a three-phase model then, or single?
The second one is going to be the original three-phase that we were going to
Oh,
swap with.
okay.
Otherwise, and really, there's no difference. It's just the efficiencies coming to. It uses the same energy, runs the same way. It's just a variable freak drive that's inside of it. It has different alterations on the relay. One does it on its own. The other one comes from direct power source. So it's hard to explain.
Oh, I know all about those. That's what I do for a living.
Oh, yeah.
Single phase in, three-phase out, what's the problem?
Right.
There isn't any.
Right. There isn't any.
All right, very good.
I have some questions.
Amanda?
I'm testing my knowledge here. No. Quick question about the first phase boiler that's not cheaper? It's the same price?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the costs here that say not included, do we know that we don't have asbestos at Amy Bell? Or Rockfield, sorry.
Amy Bell.
Amy Bell, I am right, okay. Do we know this? Because it says, like, the not included costs, asbestos
Oh, yes, that
identification,
is-
any controlled modifications in
Sorry.
programming. I just want to make sure that that's not going to be an extra $20,000 once they walk in, and they're like, oh, yeah, that wasn't added, but it has to be, it's needed in order to complete the job.
Yep. No, that has all been abated prior to. These boilers fit within that, the last 15, 20 years, so it was all somewhat up to current wrap and insulation. So we will not be facing any of those issues.
Okay, and same thing for the modifications to programming?
Yes.
That won't be a big added cost?
Nope.
Okay.
How's the budget going to handle it, Brittany?
Capital, it's going to come out of the
Oh,
capital budget.
sorry. I thought I just said Brittany.
I did. I'm sorry. I should have said Frank, I guess.
No, that's all right, yeah. Fund 41.
Okay, very good.
So these will be removed off the capital 5-year. They were both on there, so just to reiterate that.
Okay, Russ?
So the improvements we're making as far as the water condition, we should look to hit this 20 to 25-year mark instead of a 15-year mark?
Absolutely. I would say 25 to 30.
And my other blunt question here would be, why are we not catching this the first time around? Why are we coming back? I know the original plan we spoke to, we'll be able to use boiler number 2 while replacing boiler 1, but then not understanding the full condition of boiler 2. I feel like this could have been a project that was submitted together instead of, oh, we found out again that this isn't what we thought it was.
Yeah, absolutely. And fair enough. Obviously, I wasn't extremely impressed when I received the phone call, to be fully honest with you. But this is one of those scenarios that this is a 10 to 12 to 15 years since day one issue. So the best way that I can be very clean cut about it is if I were to replace them at once, I take that chance of not getting that additional 10 to 15 years, obviously. But the gamble is the quality of the water that was in this loop. I didn't know how badly that would really affect the heat exchanger and everything else within that other unit. The hope was once we did get this boiler in, add that additional filtration, treat the system, then we get our money's worth out of the second one. Again, you know, it's just that chance that you have a 3-year-old car, but if you put bad oil in it, you don't know if it's going to go next day or in another 20 years.
Sure. I think more of my point ends up being, we're starting to set a bad trend of, oh no, we have a problem, versus forecasting those problems and getting ahead of them. I mean, I think we're in the process of doing that, but we need to move that along a little.
No, absolutely.
$44,000 hits aren't fun, I'm sure, for Brittany to figure out.
No, definitely. The idea is to get ahead of these in a proactive way, and that goes for all of the schools. I will say in this case, due to the boiler loop, really Rockfield is the only other one that we really have to pay a little bit more attention to.
Sure.
Yeah, so this comes under, in engineering terms, don't wake sleeping dogs. I was okay with not touching boiler number 2 because it did have I forget the age of it, but let's say it's 15 years. I call that a 15-year warranty. It's still working. There's no sense in replacing it. We may have very well gotten the full, lifespan out of it. I've got a boiler in my home, and I won't tell you how old it is, but it's far exceeded my its life's expectation, and I won't replace it because I think a new one wouldn't last nearly as long as this one has. So there's no sense in replacing something that's working just fine. And in my case, I have very little to no makeup water. I probably haven't cracked the system open in 10 years. So it is on soft water. My water softener is pretty decent, as I would hope that Amy Bell's is also. But I do see the problem of, leaky valves and extra makeup water just coating the inside of the boiler for no reason whatsoever. So, okay, we got it. The new boilers should last quite a bit longer. Is there a life expectancy on the new ones?
Their standards is the 20 to 25 years.
Okay.
I think that's where they kind of play it on the safe end. But obviously, we expect to get much more out of that if at all possible. They're much more efficient, even more so than 15 years ago, which even adds that more added stress, not to get into it, but to have very good, clean water in order to run as efficient as possible.
Yeah, so the home boiler is 85%. It's cast iron. I think it'll outlast me. Any other questions? Okay, I will take a motion.
A motion to move forward with the Board of Education to approve the replacement of boiler number 2 at Amy Bell Elementary School using Butter Fittings Company in the amount not to exceed $44,000.
Second.
Okay, motion by Russ Ewert, second by Tom Barney. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. All right, on to item 8D.2, CISA 6 Math Center Agreement. Jake, it's a wonderful topic. Thank you.
Thanks. The contract that is in the packet, that is the quote that I've gotten from the Math Center at CISA 6 for what was described in the loss of learning plan that I had previously brought to the Finance Committee. The quote is for multiple PD days with CISA 6 as well as the coaching that I described in the Finance Committee so that there can be on-site coaching for our elementary, middle, and high school teachers.
Okay, very good. This kind of answers the question of whether we're spending our ESSER dollars properly or not. I think we're doing much better and way ahead of many other districts around us and around the state. We're actually getting to the end of it, I believe. I do not have any questions, but I was very happy to see it in the material for this evening. Tom?
I think you answered the one question I had. Was it coming out of ESSER dollars? I know we had talked about loss of learning items coming out of that, but it wasn't listed that way in the background.
Yeah, I guess maybe I read into it because of, finance a month ago, but it is ESSER dollars, I believe.
That's correct.
Russ?
Yeah, I guess that was going to be my one thing. It would be nice to note on some of these, and kind of probably all of these agenda items moving forward, what fund this money's coming out of or what expense so people can understand we're using the ESSER dollar funds. I think this is a great example of us tapping into expert outside sources to come in and build professional development within our staff to address some of this lost learning issues, as well as just overall strengthen the full program. So I appreciate you bringing that into the district.
Good point. I think I knew too much and I just read into it. I didn't even notice it didn't say ESSER while I was reading it, so thanks guys for picking up on that. All right, I will take a motion.
Make a motion to bring forward to the Board of Education with a positive recommendation to approve the proposed agreement with CISA 6 Math Center for an amount not to exceed $42,500.
I will second.
Okay, motion by Tom Barney, second by Russ Ewert. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Okay. Item 8D.3, iPad purchase.
So this is part of common school funds that we're looking to spend for this year. So currently we have a fleet of iPads that, because of the licenses that are required to make the iPads function, we need to put them on a replacement cycle. So this is the start of making sure that our iPads are continually updated so that we don't come to the end of a 5-year cycle and then our entire fleet of iPads is no longer available and we have to replace everything all at once. So this is to kind of get ahead of that. The iPads that these 60 will replace will then be repurposed in other curricular areas. So this is for 60 iPads to start that continual cycle of replacement.
Okay, and how many schools will these 60 cover?
So there's gonna be a distribution of 15 iPads for each one of the elementary schools.
Okay. And about how many are at each school now? Do you know? You knew I was going to ask that.
How many do we currently
Yeah,
have?
how many are there now?
That's a really great question.
I'm sorry, I should have asked.
No, that's okay.
Over the weekend.
They're used in various capacities, so the actual number would be a little bit harder to determine. So previously, each elementary school was given options in terms of how they wanted to purchase technology. So some elementary schools selected and opted for Chromebooks, whereas others opted for iPads. So the exact number would be hard for me to calculate off the top of my head. They're primarily used in grades K1, 2, but because they're common or they're purchased with common school funds, they're available to the entire school. I can get you the exact number of iPads that we currently have in our fleet.
Okay, yeah, the question was kind of geared towards how many years will it be then for a full refresh? 4 years, or are we doing this each of the next 4 years, I guess, or 3 years?
So the plan that I was talking with the librarians on is every 2 years we would be looking at replenishing part of the fleet. It's going to be ongoing continually, so the plan that we worked through would be that there wouldn't ever be a lapse. So every other year we'd be looking at replacing some of our iPads.
Okay. Russ?
You said the schools decided between iPads or touchscreen Chromebooks, which was our last, I believe a meeting ago we approved. Who's making that decision, and how does that impact our alignment across the schools as far as building these kids' skills coming into the next?
So previously that was a decision that was being made kind of at a building level by the teacher. So it was what their preference was for. Casting forward, we're looking at curricular needs to determine what technology we're funneling into the classrooms. So there are different technologies that are currently being used, especially at that K1, 2 level. There's Osmos cameras and things like that, where this technology would support those curricular needs that are there, so that we're making sure that each one of our elementary schools has equal access to that technology. So going forward, that's going to be managed at the curriculum level. So when we talk about curriculum reviews and we look at what's the curriculum or what's the technology that's necessary to support our curriculums, reading, for example, most of the curriculums we're looking at have digital components with it. So if we didn't plan for the touchscreen Chromebooks to be available for K1, 2, there would be portions of curriculums that we wouldn't be able to access.
So these will be in all schools, they're not school-specific?
Correct. So
I needed that clarification. For a moment, it sounded like one school will have one will have another. Thank you.
So I think where the standard's going to be iPads moving forward is what you're telling us?
We have both. So they have access to both of those technologies.
Okay. Very good.
Yes, that's what I was trying to get
Sorry, I
at.
misunderstood the
Sorry.
question.
No, that's what I was trying to get at, that they'll be using both, so it's not
Yes, absolutely.
one versus the other. They'll be exposed to both.
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, thank you.
All right. I'll take a motion.
Motion to bring forward to the Boards of Education with a positive recommendation to approve the purchase of 60 iPads and Apple Care Plus from Apple for an amount not to exceed $24,180 using Common School Library Aid.
I will second.
Okay, motion by Tom Barney, second by Russ Ewert. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. And one more motion.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Tom Barney, second by Russ Ewert. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? We are adjourned
Aye.
at 6.
Aye.
Oh, what's that?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I must be in a hurry. Aye. We are adjourned at 6:19.